Howdy folks, welcome to the bar. And today I'm doing the first of the new style of brew day tasting videos. It's not grain to glass, it's glass to grain. This is the beer we're talking about. So instead of going through and brewing it and then tasting it at the bloody end and making you wait through all that time like you normally have to a grain to glass, I'm going to start with the beer and we're going to work back and we'll go through the process. So before I do that, big shout out to Little John's Patreons. Thank you everybody for your support. If you're interested in Patreon, there's a link down the bottom. Jump on there and have a look. Maybe just the right thing for you. If you aren't subscribed, hit the subscribe button down there in the corner. That way you don't miss anything that's going on with the channel. And either way, hit the like button. Give us a thumbs up. All those things keep the channel going, which means I can keep doing the things that supposedly people like to see me doing. Anyway, let's get into it. This is the beer we're doing. On this first video, this is what I'm calling it the Wedding XPA. This is a beer I'm doing for my daughter's wedding at the end of the year in late November. They've asked me to do some beers with her and the son-in-law, or the soon-to-be son-in-law. Have asked me to do a couple of beers for the wedding to complement the mega school they're going to have on for everybody. So I'll be doing 3 kegs for the night. I'll be doing 2 kegs of the XPA and I'm going to do 1 keg of the brewed IPA. We'll see that one down the track a little bit as well. But for now, this is the beer we're doing. This is now 10 days in the keg. 10 days from final ferment. I ideally would let this go a little bit longer before doing the video. 10 days I think it's fine at the moment, and you know, getting bloody bored not actually knocking out some videos. So so here we are. So before I look at some final numbers here, let's go back and have a quick look at what the grain bill looked like. We had a bit of a chat last weekend when I was down the coast, and we decided we're going to go for an XPA. So what I'm doing at the moment is I've played around with, actually it was Josh Michael's recipe from Mate's Rate's Home Brew, his Boulder XPA, which gets a lot of good raps, the recipe, but obviously it's Little John's beer at the wedding, so I need to make it my own. So I've made some tweaks to it, but use it as a good guide to get up and going. I'm really yet to actually lock down a decent XPA. I haven't done many of them. Probably only really had 1 crack at it, so I haven't got the time to be playing around too much. So this is me start. So this is a trial batch. But anyway, 12 litre brew. So first up we're going to have Gladfield Pilsner malt, 2.43 kilos, which is actually 85, just at 86% of the grain bill. And I'm hoping I've got enough in this bucket and then I have to crack the other bucket. So, fraction over, good enough. 8.2% is wheat malt. We've got the carahel here. 6%, 173 grams of carahel. And let's tail it off. Let's got another 170. And some wheat. 8% wheat, 230, let's go with 240 grams. There we go. That's our grain. I'm going to get that pulled up in a sec. So you see that in the grain bill, what I was trying to do, playing around with Josh's, that Boulder XPA sort of recipe, and trying to make up, I was trying to get it just a little bit ballsier, for want of a better word, just trying to get a little bit more body and a bit more oomph behind it. I find the Balter XPA to be a little bit on the weak side of an XPA. It's down that bottom end, almost push. To me, it's almost pushing into that Pacific Ale sort of realm, and I don't want that. I want to have something with a little bit more go. And I don't think I've quite got there. This one's falling just a little bit short on the malt. It's nice. It's got a really nice profile as it is, but it's not exactly what I was after. So I'm thinking probably going to make a minor adjustment on the malt. And what I'm sort of looking at, I think, is there's like that 2.5 sort of ish kilos of the Pilsner malt. I'd probably look at maybe taking half a kilo of that and boosting that up to an ale malt, and possibly just a touch more of the Carahel, or even a tiny smidge, pardon me, of some Munich, just to lift it a little bit. But as it is, it's quite tasty. And there's no real problem with that base, but I think I'm just going to give that a little bit. I'm happy with the mash profile. 65 at 40 minutes, 72 for 30 minutes, which included ramp up, and then a sparge. I think that's worked quite fine. Just finished brekkie and just gone to mash out. So we've gone from the 65, 66 degree mash, which I held for 40 minutes. I've now raised it up to about 70. It's gone up to about 73, 74. I'm going to hold that for, well, it was a 30-minute while that was been going, so it's another 23 minutes now. So it took about 6 minutes to come up the temperature, 6 degrees, pretty well spot on what you expect it to do. So all good. I've just taken a refractometer reading with, surprise, surprise, the refractometer. Yeah, in all honesty, it would have been difficult to do a refract reading with anything else. And that's given me, it's showing about 1036. Looking for pre-boil at 1038, so I'm pretty happy with where we travel. Looks like we're sort of in the ballpark of what we're looking for, so let that run. While that's happening, probably need to think about finding some hops out. I'm happy with the mash profile. I'm happy with the yeast. Let's just have a quick look at the hops that went in. Rightio, we're halfway through the boil. Gravity reading, or pre-boil gravity reading, is spot on 1038, which is what we're looking for. I think we're looking good though. I think looking at where we are volume wise, we're going to get 12 litres into ferment without any real problem. So we should go close at the moment. We sort of bang on the numbers. I've just put in our first boil addition, which is a 30-minute boil of just a little bit of Amarillo, just to give us a few IBU up front, and then there'll be another small addition of Amarillo with 10 minutes to go. At that time we'll throw in some yeast nutrient and a wharf-lock, or half a wharf-lock. Then from there, all the hops are going to be Lupa Max. I've got 50 grams of Citra, Amarillo and Mosaic. So a fairly standard sort of a pale XPA type of hop profile. So I'll be using those in a whirlpool, bit of each, and then there'll be some more of that going into a dry hopping on, I think it's day 5 for about 5 days. Now, for those who aren't up to speed on the Looper Max, this is a new process, and you've probably seen been a lot of craft beers getting around in the last probably 12 months with the Looper Max hops. Sort of big thing at the moment. What it is they've got some process which allows them to take a lot more of the vegetative stuff off the hop and a lot of the debris off the hop, and access more of the actual good stuff, the acids and the lupulin, the things you actually want. So what you're getting is a softer hop profile with less of the grassy, astringent sort of notes that you can get with dry hopping and things like that. So as a result, they're a much higher alpha acid. These are like 18 and 14%, I think, by memory, which is like, so like the Citra is like the Citra is like 18% AA. I think the Amarillo was the same, where normally they're about 11 to 13. So considerable difference. Reading up, they sort of say to use the Looper Max at about 70% of what you'd use your standard sort of normal pellets. So that's around that same mark. I got these from Cheeky Peak, and on their website they've got a link to the actual analysis of the hops, so it actually gives you the actual AA for these hops. So I was able to work them exactly under the levels that I want for this beer. I'm thinking, as it is, the hop effect is fairly close to where I want it. There's a nice amount of bitterness there without being confronting. There's not quite enough hop flavour. There's a bit less than what I would have wanted. And again, I think that falls back to that ball to, again, being that a bit on that lighter end of the XPA style, which is probably why it's so freaking popular. But I want to push just a little bit more. I'm getting a slight lemon edge. Lemon, not so much lemon, sort of soury sort of edge, and I think it's the Mosaic. I've had this before with Mosaic. I get this sort of an edge with Mosaic that I don't particularly like. Not that I don't like it, but I feel I could be better using a different kind of hop and getting a better result. So what I'm looking at is probably swapping out the Mosaic for a combination of Galaxy and Strata, and just bringing the numbers up just a touch. So taking that hop stand numbers and increasing them by about a quarter, and the same with the dry hop. I think the overall timings are pretty good. Where they're sitting is okay. I just want just a little bit more flavour there, and I think that Galaxy and Strata and a little bit extra of everything, just to bring a little bit more fruit and character into the picture. I'm going to play around a little bit with the salts as well. I'm going to pull back the calcium chloride a little bit. The chloride to sulfate ratios probably a little high. I'm probably going to pull that back a little bit. Pull the chloride down, and also the lactic a little bit. Allow the hops to come up just a little bit more, take some of that roundness out. But that's only minor. And again, I'll address that probably in more detail on the next batch. But again, for now, in this beer, it works. Regional gravity was 1047, final gravity was 1011. I think by memory I was aiming for 1048 and 1012, so falling just at one point off at the original mark, but finished up exactly where I wanted to, 4.7%. IBU is total is 26, so I think realistically with those changes, probably going to drag it up to be more like, I don't know, 29 or 30, somewhere around there. Yeah, it's probably only about where it'll come to. But again, that's for next time. But as for right now, for the recipe as it is, which I will include the link to the Brew Fiber recipe, for anyone who's interested, because as is, this is quite a refreshing, crisp, quite tasty, what's it, lower end XPA. If you like your Balter XPA, you know, that sort of stuff where it's not super hoppy, or not, you know, as hoppy as others, this is a really good recipe. I think you're going to really like it. Just, what's it, just not quite delivering the beer that I want to present for the wedding. I would happily present this beer if that was all I had, but yeah, it's brewing. We can't make a beer and be completely happy with it. We need to do something to play around with it. So those changes will come, and that's going to be down the track somewhere around September. I'll re-brew this, and then we'll make those changes, and you'll be able to see them then. But for now, Wedding XPA, first trial, it's a success. It's a good beer, tasty, clean, fresh, lovely colour, does all the things it's got to do. If you're in the XPAs, give it a whirl. That's me, done. Hope you've enjoyed the new format. I'm going to try and get it, I'll get a bit more used to how I'm doing it, and I'm hoping the videos will come together a little bit. Hopefully this one hasn't come out too messy, and we can get into a nice process as I get used to doing it. But for now, that's me, I'm done. So comments and questions down the bottom as always, that doesn't change. Thank you to everyone who supports the channel. Hit buttons and links and stuff if you need to, but other than that, I'm out of here. So until I see you again when we're brewing beer, drinking beer, or talking beer, good brewing.